Do you think it would be possible for me to get an extension on my assignment? That's what I thought. Probably not. So anyway, today we'll be completing my C++ Introduction to Qt assignment. We will not be using the widgets application, we'll be using the far harder console application. We are not allowed to use the drag and drop features of Qt. We have to build everything with code. So let's begin. So I've obviously, as you've seen, selected my console application. Now I'll create a name. Let's just go ahead and call it item. What do I want to call it? This is how I know I'm going to fail this assignment, this kind of behavior. I will fail anyway. Let's go ahead and think item class. Let's just go with assignment. Assignment. Can't spell. Is assignment 4. All right. We'll go ahead and create everything. Done. Great. So now we only have our main file and our assignment4.project file. Nothing to worry about right here. Let's begin the actual implementation of our project. We'll go ahead and click on a folder and we'll go to add new. We'll create a C++ class. The class will be called item, where an item will represent a product or a good in a store, such as rice, bread, whatever. And we'll hit next. We'll finish. As you notice, it creates two files. It creates an item.h, this file here, which is our interface file, and an item.c++, which is our implementation file. We'll go back to our .h file and we'll just set up the environment. Well, not set up the environment, we'll just add that which we need. We'll add a Q string. We'll then go ahead and create some more public functions for our item class. Let me see, did anything here that I want? Okay, great. So it would be a Q string. Let's just call it something like B. Q string D, where B stands for barcode, D will stand for description, int S will stand for stock, and double P will stand for price. I'll add the comments right here. So B refers to an item barcode. D refers to an item description. S refers to an item stock, and P refers to an items. The reason P is a double, we tend to see product prices something to be like 12.5 or like 15.50 cents, whatever it may be. Therefore, it should be a double. P refers to an item price. We'll just go ahead and make sure this is the actual comment. There we go. We'll actually add a little more. Post condition, it will be create an instance of item class where all values are set. All right. Also create that into a comment. We'll create another public function and we will call it, it'll be a static function. It'll be a bool and it's called isValid barcode. It will take a Q string, which will obviously be the barcode. So post condition, return true if valid, else false. We'll create a few get methods and a few setting methods. So Q string get barcode, return barcode, Q string get description. I'll be completely honest, prior to this I have not been keeping up with my C++ Qt development. I should be, but I haven't. These will both be const. And return description. All right. You'll then do a double get price, which is obviously what it does. It gets the price, so return price. post condition. All right, we'll then do an int of get stock, which is obvious again. And a few setting methods of void. Set stock. So takes an int s. Post condition. Set the stock to s. We'll then do a QString function. So it returns a QString and we'll call it toString. This will return, so a post condition returns a, it'd be great if I could type, returns a QString wrapper of our function, of our class, I mean, of our class instance. Alright, so to go ahead and check everything, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 functions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll now go ahead and create some private member variables or private members, and we'll start creating them. Okay, something like the QString barcode, of course, the QString description, DSCRIPTION, description, the int stock, the double price. Okay, great. We are done with our interface file. Now we need to do our implementation file, so our .cpp file. Let's go ahead and begin that. So we obviously, let me just go ahead and copy this so I don't have to go ahead and write everything again. I'm going to initialize everything. So barcode, which will be B, description, which will be D, stock, which will be S, and price, which will be P. There we go. Then we'll go ahead and add some truncation facilities, barcode to truncate, and we will truncate it to 13 max. We will also do a description dot truncate. Simply says if our description given in the QString is greater than 20 characters, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 10. And we do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 10. Where do you go? Let's do it again. 0. It's now at 20, and the moment we hit 21, it says nope, drop that last position. Make sure it stays in the length of max 20. We'll then go ahead and create bool item. This will validate if the given barcode actually exists, thereby confirming if the item exists. We'll create a bool and we'll call it OK. We won't initialize its value. Let's say int b int. So barcode int is equal to b dot to int, and we'll pass it our variable OK. This will set the variable OK. So return OK and barcode b int greater than 0. Something here isn't right. Bool OK b int Alright, I'm back. So I said something to deal with, but here I am. It's not like I have an assignment due very soon, so let's fix that. Alright, let's do our next function. Let's do get barcode, so Q string. It will return a Q string of the class item class, if I could spell, and it would be get barcode. And we'll just do return barcode. Quite simple. We'll do Q string item, and we'll do get description. Nothing too difficult here, so return description. We'll do this a few more times. Now we have a int item get stock. Stock, it cannot be a double. There's no such thing as 2.5 bags of bread, so it must be an integer. So return stock. Because as I said, the item class represents a good or a product in a store. We'll then do a double item get price. Again, return price. Let us do our void item set stock, which takes an integer s. It's quite simple. We set stock equal to the value of s. Now we'll do a Q string of the item class, and this is toString. What? This is a const. Wait, did I make sure I did that? No, I didn't. Const. I actually forgot to do it here as well. So get stock should be const. Get description should also be constant. Get barcode should be constant. Get price should also be a constant, which means I have to go back here and fix that. So constant. Silly mistakes. Constant. Right, so we'll go back here. So as I was saying, our toString function will take the elements of each instance of our item class and return a QString representation. So return QString. We will then do the following. This is how we can create a string using QString. We set a string and then we just use the percentage sign and a placeholder. So we'll do 1 separated by a tab, which is a large amount of space. We'll create another placeholder and we'll do a tab again. We'll create another placeholder, 3, and then we'll do another tab. And we'll create our last placeholder, %4. We will then supply arguments to our placeholders. How do we do that? We say dot, using the dot access operator, dot arg, so dot argument, barcode 13 length, max. We then do dot arg again, description with a max of 20. We'll do a dot arg of stock with a max of 5, a dot arg of price with 8 dash f dash 2. So 8 before the dot, 8 after the dot. And that will be our QString representation function. Let's count how many functions we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, everything here seems correct. We'll go ahead and just save this file. Now we have quite a bit more to do. We will again click on the sources folder and go to add new. And I just think I dropped cough syrup on my PC. That's stupid. Okay, choose C++ class again. I just read the heading of an article. Spyware can infect your phone or computer via the ads you see online. Okay, anyway, let's begin our next function. It will be called ItemReader. Its purpose is to read an item instance or instances from a text file and use that to create item instances. So it reads a text file which contains just text. It should read that text and process it into an item instance. So we'll go to itemreader.h, which is our interface file, and we will do the following. We first need to include some external libraries, so you'll need to include obviously the item class. You'll then do an include of QString. You'll do another include of QFile for file processing purposes. You'll then go to our constructor, we'll get a QString, which will be a file name, and post condition reads a file, reads a text file, and processes contents into item instances. We'll then create another one called item. This item reader. It'll be an item read item. So it returns an item instance and is called read item. We'll then do a bool end of file. This determines if we are at the end of a file. End of file. So returns post condition returns true if end of file, else false. And then we'll do a destructor. So item reader. So, and in our private, we will have private Q file called input file. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, that's great. We will now go into our implementation file, so itemreader.cpp, and we'll begin implementing all our functions. We'll go ahead and include Q text stream. We'll come to here and we'll do Q string fname input file. So our Q file variable input file will be set to fname. We will then do an input file. We'll call the input file and use the .access operator to open Q input output device. We only want to read, so read only. Q input output device. Q input output device. Is this the spelling? Okay. And text. We'll close that. That function is done. We'll then do item. Item reader. And we'll do read item. Item string list is equal to QString dot input file. We will read the line and we'll do a dot split based on the tab character. We'll then do return item, where we do item string list at position 0 dot trimmed, and we'll do this a few more times. So item string list and now at position 1 dot trimmed, position 2 dot to int, because this would be the stock. We'll do an item string list at position 3 dot to double. We'll go ahead and save everything here. Oh wait, did I explain this function? Item reader. This function here, post condition, returns an instance of item. That's it. We'll then do bool item reader end of file. And all we have to do here is return input file dot at end. Now the only thing left for us to do in this function, well, in this class, is to create our destructor. Which input file. We open the file, therefore we must now close it once it goes out of scope. Alrighty. So far we have an item which represents a product or a good in a store, an item reader which can create instances of items from a text file so we can read it. We must now be able to write item instances to a text file. For that we need another set of interface and implementation files, which will be in the class ItemWriter. So ItemWriter, we have the interface file, which also must include, for obvious reasons, the item file. We'll do another include of QString, another include of QFile, and we'll come down here. So our ItemWriter is very similar to our item reader. QString, fname, the file name of course, void write item, which will write an item to a text file. And a destructor. We'll have a private member, which is a QFile instance, and we shall call it output file. ItemWriter, void write item, ItemWriter destructor, const item, and QString fname. Okay, great. We'll now go to implementation file and implementate all these functions. The first thing we must do here is include qText stream. We initialize the output file to fname. We'll then come here into the function. We'll open the file, so output file dot open q input output device, and this time write only, of course. Q input output device text. We will then do our void ItemWriter write item qText stream and output file i.toString we will save that. Alright, so I have been getting terrible sleep. I am exhausted. We'll do our last function, which is our destructor, and as you know by now, all it will do is ensure that our output file is closed. Now so far, all we have done is implement three classes: item, item reader, and item writer. These are nothing specific to Qt. These are basic C++ classes. We must now start to develop our graphic user interfaces. But prior to that, we have a few more classes to build. So again, item refers, so let's go here. Item refers to a product or a good in a store. Item reader reads product instances from a text file and creates them using the read item function. Item writer will write item instances to a text file. The next thing we must now do is create something to hold a number of items. We will call this item list. So we'll right click on our sources folder again and we'll go C++ class item list. Now obviously an item list requires an item. It will make use of our item reader classes and our item writer classes. It will also make use of a few more libraries. So QString, we will store it using QMap. If you aren't familiar with a QMap, think of a dictionary. So that's wrong. That's terribly wrong. Dictionary in Python, which stores a key value pairs. We will also then include QFile. Okay. And now that I see this, I am in the wrong folder. Okay. I mean, I'm in the wrong file. Okay, great. We have our base constructor. Then we have another constructor. Or should I say a constructor which takes in parameters. It takes an array of items and an int size. Create. I'm not explaining much here because again, this is simple C++. I'll start explaining more once we jump into the GUI development. That's wrong. So that's also wrong. Okay. We'll create a function called void text to int. Text to int. Which text to item list, my mistake. Text to item list. Remember, the reader item reader class reads in a text file, processes the contents to create item instances. So we will use the item reader class functionality in this function. It will take a QString fname. We have a very similar function called item list to text. How do we convert an item to a text file? We use the ItemWriter class, item to text, which will also take a QString called file name, or fname for short. So list of items to a text file. We have another function. It will return a QMap. QMap must be passed two parameters because it is a template function, double item, and we will call it get list of items. And its post condition, it return list of My spelling is terrible. We'll then do an int of get count. Which simple return number of items in list of items. So I have been going back and forth between using my keyboard and an external keyboard, and it's just messing me up. We'll then create a static function, QMap, which returns a QMap, which again, double and item, and we will call it list of items. QMap. Alright, off screen, my headphones almost killed me. Is there a backstory? Yes. Will I tell you? No. Based on value of key, price will be used as the key. You'll then have an item search by this is quite simple. If we pass in a Q string referencing, or let me be more specific, representing a barcode, this function must determine if that barcode exists, and then if it does, return an item based on said barcode. We'll then have a void of remove item, which is quite simple. It must read in an item and remove it from our list of items. You'll then have a private section in our interface file. It'll be integer count, number of items in list of items. Right. This here, let me be more specific. Let me put it somewhere where it makes sense. This is not a function. This, put it here. This is a variable. It is a variable, so let's do a variable. It is a variable. And the reason why it's not in my private place and public, because it is static, which means all instances will refer to one QMap. That QMap will be called list of items. We will now go into the implementation file and implement all these functions and functionalities. Item list. Obviously, we must do hashtag include item list. You'll also do include. Would I need qdebug? No, I don't think I would actually need it. Right. We'll then make sure our function is aware of this. No, make sure our interface file is aware of this. So double item. Let's go item list. List of items. All right. Does nothing. This is our constructor. Why is it not getting auto-filled? There we go. Okay. We'll then do for int I equal to 0, where I is less than size, I plus plus. A simple for loop. We'll then do list of items dot insert array of items at position I. Because it is an item, we can do a get price. After we do a get price, we can do a comma, and we can do array of items at position I. So add instance to our queue map. I just want to make sure everything in my function is correct. So I should have a const, another constant, weight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it seems right. I'm just gonna push forward and see what happens. So we're done with that function. We will now do a void item list text to item list queue string f name item reader. We'll call it reader, and we'll pass in that file name. Now that I think about it, do I actually need the queue file? Queue file. I don't use queue file anywhere, do I? Okay, I don't think I'll be using this. Okay, I'll come back and determine if I actually do need that. Fname. And it's quite simple. While reader, well, not reader dot end of file. So we'll continue processing until we reach the end of file. We'll create an item reader dot read item, which returns an item. Great. We'll do a list of items dot insert item dot get price, not barcode, price. I can't perform a double functionality on a barcode. And the item. We'll now do a void item list to text. Let me just zoom in. There we go. We'll then do an ItemWriter. We must now create our queue map, or create a queue map. It takes in an item. The reason we're doing this is we want the constant iterator. We'll just call it it. We'll do for it, which will equal to list of items, which is also a queue map, list of items dot constant beginning. It is not equal to list of items dot constant end. We'll continue processing. We'll do plus plus it. Let's make everything just a little clearer. Oh, I am tired. So item, which is equal to it dot value. We'll then do a writer dot write item. What do we write? Obviously the item. Simple. I like giving myself space to work with. Let's go here. Let's go queue map. Double item, and this is our item list. Get list of items, which must only return list of items. This function is quite difficult, so once we get started with it, just don't worry, just follow along. We will type RETERNCOUNT. Whew, that was a journey. This video is approaching 40 minutes long. It'll probably be around 50 minutes, and I still will not be done. So I think the best thing for me to do will be to divide the video into 2 parts. So after our incredibly difficult, so let's actually be clear, incredibly difficult function, we move on. And we'll now do an item list, resolution scope operator, search by barcode, got to love autocomplete, QMap, double, we'll do a for loop again so we can traverse our list of items. We'll continue traversing until we reach the end of list. So list of items dot end plus plus it. If this is where we try to find our match. If it dot value is value dot get barcode is equal to the passed in barcode, so the parameter barcode above here, then we have a match. What we will do then is we will return that item. So return, obviously because we have a pointer, we must dereference, so it dot value to actually grab the object at that memory location. Successful match. We'll go down here, and if for some reason we exit the for loop, it means that we could not find an item. Return 0. We should return null pointer, but in Qt Creator null pointer is not valid, so we pass in the equivalent of 0 because null pointer equals 0. Barcode not found. You fool. Oh no. Oh no. Great. We'll then do our last function, void item list, remove item, which is a list of items, dot remove item. Now notice when I'm going to hit the full stop or the dot, it converts from the dot access operator to the member access arrow operator. And the reason it does this is because Qt recognizes that it is a pointer, therefore you cannot use the dot operator, you must use the member access operator. Get price. Bye item. Alright, let's save everything. So what else do we need to do? We have three more. Well, we have 3 more classes and 8 more files to do. Nope, 3 more classes, 3 more classes and 7 files to do, which we will do at a later point. We'll begin building the GUI. Save everything. Let me just explain what the item list does, because it's the only one I haven't explained. Q file, I don't think I'm using this anywhere, but I'll go ahead and check further code, and then I'll determine if I need it or not. So we have a base constructor that does nothing, but it is used if we create an item list with no items in it, so that's why we need it. We then have a constructor where we pass 2 parameters, the first parameter being an array of items, the second parameter being a size. We then have text to item list. This essentially does the following. It passes a file name to the item reader function to create item instances. We then have item list to text, which passes in a file name to the item writer, which reads in those items and writes it to a text file. We then have a QMap, which returns a QMap, and it returns the items. We then have a get count, which is very complex, too much to explain. We then have a search by barcode, which will take in as parameter a Q string and determine if the barcode matches any item barcode. We then have a remove item, which essentially deletes an item. We then have another QMap. This is not a function, this is a variable. It is static. All instances will refer to this one QMap. We will save everything. We'll go here and we will